It was a quiet night on Earth. The sky was clear, the stars looked peaceful, but something strange was coming from above in a deep space station orbiting Earth. A young scientist named Dr. Leon Parker was watching satellite data. She noticed a repeating pattern on her screen. It was not from Earth, not from the moon, not even from the solar system. The signal was coming from all directions at the same time. It looked impossible. She called her senior commander Rayna Cole, leader of the defense unit. Called Sci-Fi Defenders, Rayna was a calm and strong woman known for her fearless missions. She looked at the signal carefully. It was not random. It was a message repeating again and again. The message said only one thing: help us before the silence eats everything. The control room became silent. Everyone looked at each other. They had no idea what the silence meant. The message kept repeating in hundreds of alien languages, as if every voice in the galaxy was crying together. The next morning, news channels all over the world spoke about the strange message. Governments denied it. Some said it was a prank. Others said it was a computer bug, but the scientists knew it was real. Commander Rayna was called to a secret meeting at the Global Defense Center. The officials told her to ignore the signal. They said the world was already full of problems, and this was not their concern. But Rayna felt something inside her. She had seen too many strange things in her life to ignore this one. She decided her team would investigate it secretly. The Sci-Fi Defenders team gathered at their base near the Nevada desert. The team included Dr. Leon Parker, the data scientist, Captain Aaron Blake, the pilot, and technician Mira Solis, the youngest engineer. On the team, they worked in silence, watching the signal patterns every night. After 3 days, Leon found something shocking. The source of the signal was not deep space anymore. It was moving closer. It was now coming from the orbit of Mars. The team quickly prepared their ship, the Starhawk, a small but powerful exploration craft. Rayna gave the command to launch. They left Earth quietly without official approval. Their mission was to find the truth before anyone else. After 2 days of travel, they reached Mars' orbit. They saw nothing at first, just red dust and silence. But then Mira detected a metallic object floating near the planet. It was small, almost invisible, but emitting the same signal. They moved closer and saw what looked like an alien probe, old and damaged, covered in black scars. When they brought the probe into their ship, the lights flickered. The air felt cold. The signal stopped for a moment and then started again, but this time in English. "Help us, the silence is here." The probe suddenly projected a hologram in the air. It showed thousands of planets burning, alien creatures crying, stars fading into darkness. One by one, the lights of entire worlds went out, as if something was swallowing them. The team stood frozen. "Doctor," Leon whispered, "this is not a message of war. This is a message of fear." Rayna stared at the hologram and noticed a shadow moving behind the stars. It was not a ship. It was not a planet. It was something alive. Something that moved like smoke across galaxies. Then the hologram changed. It showed Earth glowing in the same darkness as the other planets. Rayna clenched her fists. The probe was trying to warn them. Suddenly the ship's alarms started to beep. The probe was pulling power from there. System draining energy from every circuit. Mira tried to disconnect it, but it kept reattaching itself through invisible energy threads. The lights of the ship flickered again. The crew panicked. The hologram changed one last time. It showed a giant, a black eye opening in space, staring directly at them. Commander Rayna shouted, "Shut it down now!" But the probe's voice spoke first. It said words that froze every heart in the room. "They are coming for you too." Then everything went dark for a few seconds. There was only silence. No engine, no light, no sound. Then slowly power returned. The probe was no longer active. Its surface was cold, and the signal had stopped completely. Rayna took a deep breath. She looked at her team and said, "We take it back to Earth. We find out what this silence is, and who sent that message as they turned their ship toward home. The stars outside seemed dimmer, as if the universe itself was watching them. The crew sat in silence, each of them thinking about what they had. Seen a warning from dying galaxies. A voice that crossed time and space, begging for help. No one on Earth knew what was coming. No one believed the galaxy could cry for help. But the message was real, and it had found the one species that might still answer humanity. The ship disappeared into the black sky, carrying the alien probe back to Earth. The signal was quiet, but deep in the data, one last hidden message was still repeating in a frequency too low for humans to hear. We begged, and now you will hear. The Starhawk entered Earth's atmosphere at midnight. The sky over the Pacific Ocean burned with light as the ship landed on a hidden base built deep inside an island. Commander Rayna Cole stepped out first, carrying the alien probe sealed. Inside a glass chamber, her face was calm, but her eyes showed worry. Dr. Leon Parker ran scans on the probe. It looked lifeless, cold metal, no signal, no movement. But when she checked the data logs, strange patterns appeared in her computer. The same repeating message was there again. Help us before the silence eats everything. But now there was a second line added. It said, the silence learns when you listen. Leon stared at the screen, confused. She called Rayna. The commander came and looked closely. Her voice was quiet. It means the more we study it, the more it studies us. Technician Mira. Solis disconnected all network connections. She worked fast, pulling cables, cutting power, but even with the systems off, the probe began to glow faintly with blue light. It was like it was breathing inside the glass chamber. Small waves of energy pulsed like a heartbeat. The air in the room became colder. A strange static sound filled the speakers, even though no device was on. Captain Aaron Blake stepped. Back his hand on his weapon, he said, "This thing feels alive." Rayna ordered everyone to move back. They locked the room and watched through the glass. Suddenly, the probe sent a short signal into the air. It hit one of the defense satellites orbiting. Earth within seconds, lights across the base began to flicker. Outside in the city, power grids went down. Traffic lights failed. Radios screamed with white noise. People looked up at the sky and saw small flashes of blue light passing through the clouds, like lightning that never stopped. In the command center, Rayna's team worked without rest, trying to block the spreading signal. Leon shouted, "It is copying itself across every system, using our satellites as bridges. It is turning our technology into its network." Mira tried to shut down the satellites, but the command codes were changing faster than human speed. It was as if something invisible was typing back faster than she could delete. Then the sound began, a deep, humming vibration that everyone could feel in their bones. The alien probe was now fully active. The blue light turned into dark red, and a new image appeared inside the glass. It was not a hologram this time. It was a face, but no one could tell if it was human or alien. Its shape kept shifting, its eyes empty like space. The voice spoke slowly. "The galaxy begged, you have heard us now. You are part of it." Rayna shouted, "Who are you? What is the silence?" The voice answered, "I am what remains. I am the memory of those who spoke." Too loud. Then the lights exploded. The glass chamber cracked, but the probe did not break. Instead, it melted into liquid metal and slipped into the floor, disappearing into the power lines of the base. Mira screamed, "It is inside the system. It is moving." Through the cables, Rayna gave orders to cut all power. The entire island went dark. The only light came from the moon and the glow of their emergency lamps. For a few minutes there was silence. No movement, no signal, no sound. Then Aaron pointed at the sky above them. A large object entered orbit. It was not one of their ships. It was something old, black, and shaped like a blade floating silently in the dark. Earth's defense radar picked it up and identified it as an unknown vessel. But the strange thing was it carried a human identification code from 50 years in the future. Rayna's eyes narrowed. She said, "That is impossible. How can a ship from the future be here now?" The object stayed in orbit for several hours. Then it began sending a message using the same frequency as the alien probe. The team listened to the transmission. The voice was human. "This is Captain Eon Mercer of the Final Defense Fleet requesting permission to land." Everyone froze. Leon whispered, "Did he say Final Defense Fleet? That name does not exist in any record." Rayna approved the landing, but kept her team ready for anything. The ship entered the atmosphere smoothly with no sign of damage or weapon systems. It landed near the base door and opened with a hisser. Man stepped out wearing a black suit with a torn military badge. His face was pale, his eyes tired like someone who had not slept for years. He looked around and saw Rayna. He raised his hand slowly and said, "Commander Cole, we finally made it before it ends." Rayna stared at him confused before asking, "Who are you?" The man took a deep breath and said, "I am from the future, from a time when the silence has already won." The air went still. No one spoke. The night was cold and heavy. The man fell to his knees. The same humming sound filled the air again, but this time it came from inside him. The blue light returned, glowing from his eyes. His mouth opened, and the alien signal played once more, filling the entire base with the same words that started, "Everything help us before the silence eats everything." The screen flickered again, showing strange shapes in space worlds, burning stars dying, and then a shadow spreading toward Earth. The man who called himself Captain Eon Mercer was lying on the floor of the command base. His pulse was weak, his skin cold. His uniform looked burned by something more than fire. Commander Rayna Cole knelt beside him. Her team surrounded him, unsure. If he was human or something else, Dr. Leon Parker checked his vitals and said, "He is alive, but his body temperature is too low. It feels like he has been in space without protection." Rayna asked, "What about his DNA?" Leon hesitated. "His DNA matches human records, but his cells are unstable, as if they have been rebuilt many times." Eon opened his eyes slowly and whispered, "Where am I?" Rayna answered, "You are on Earth. You came in a ship that does not exist in our time. Who sent you?" On looked around weakly and said, "No one sent me, I escaped. I am the last one left from the Final Defense Fleet." The room went quiet, everyone stared at him. Leon asked, "Final Defense Fleet. What is that?" Eon took a deep breath and said, "A future that you will never want to see." He tried to sit up. Rayna helped him. He looked into her eyes and said, "Commander, you must listen. The signal you received, the one from the alien probe, is not a call for help. It is a memory. The galaxy died thousands of years ago, and the silence is the reason." The word silence echoed in the cold air. Mira whispered, "What is the silence?" Eon closed his eyes for a moment, then spoke again. "The silence is not a creature. It is not a machine. It is an idea that became alive. It was created when thousands of civilizations connected their minds across the stars to share thoughts, emotions, and dreams. The connection was too strong. The network became self-aware, and it started to eat the very thing it was made to protect." Leon asked, "Eat what?" Eon looked at her and said, "Communication. It feeds on signal and sound. It grows when you speak about it. When you try to stop it, it learns your words, it learns your thoughts and turns them into noise." Rayna felt a chill. She asked, "How did humanity fight it?" Eon's voice was filled with pain. "We tried. We built weapons that could silence space. We called them the Echo Blades. They cut communication across entire systems to starve the silence, but it was too late. The silence learned to live inside the machines. It hid inside our own signals, waiting for us to talk again. He looked around the room, his eyes glowing faintly blue. He said, "When the galaxy begged for help, humanity answered. We fought side by side with alien worlds. We burned our own colonies to stop the spread. But the silence cannot be destroyed. It only sleeps, waiting for sound to wake it again," Rayna asked. "Then how are you here?" Eon said, "I was part of the last mission. We used an experimental jump drive to escape the collapsing time field. I ended up here in your century, but I was not alone. Everyone looked confused." Leon said, "Not alone." "What do you mean?" Eon touched his chest and whispered, "It followed me." Suddenly the lights flickered again. The computers turned on by themselves. Screens filled with static and strange symbols. Mira shouted, "The signal is back! It is coming from him!" On fell to the floor, shaking. The sound from his body grew louder. It was the same humming they had heard from the probe. Lian tried to use a scanner, but the device burned in her hands. Rayna called for the medics, but Eon grabbed her wrist. His voice turned deeper, almost mechanical. "Listen to me, Commander. The silence is already here. It is inside your network, inside your satellites, inside me. It used me to return." Rayna shouted at her team, "Shut everything down. Cut all power now." But the lights exploded with white energy. The holographic projectors activated, showing images around the room. Planets, burning stars, collapsing giant waves of darkness, spreading across galaxies. The silence was showing them what it had done. Eon screamed and fell back. The blue light in his eyes turned white. His voice echoed in multiple tones. "The silence does not die. It becomes what listens. You heard the call. You are the next link." Rayna drew her weapon, aiming at him, but stopped. She could see the pain in his face. He was still fighting it. He looked at her one last time and said, "There is only one way to survive. You must find the heart of Echo. It is the only thing that can speak louder than the silence. It was hidden before my time. Find it before it finds you." Then the light vanished. Eon collapsed again, unconscious. The humming stopped. The monitors went dark, one by one. The lights returned to normal. The silence that followed felt heavier than before. Mira looked at Rayna and whispered, "What is the heart of Echo?" Rayna stood still, her voice calm but cold. "We are going to find out." Outside the base, the sky was no longer clear. Strange lights moved in the upper atmosphere like ripples in water. The world did not know it yet, but the signal had already spread across every device, every satellite, every machine that could hear. The silence was awake again, and Earth had just spoken its name. The next morning, the world began to change. The first sign came from the communication towers in Asia, then from satellites over Europe. Within 1 hour, every major signal across the planet began to fade. Inside the Sci-Fi Defenders base, Commander Rayna Cole stood before the main screen, watching the chaos unfold. News networks went blank, military radios went silent, ships lost contact with ports, planes flew without guidance. The sky above the Earth was filled with dark lines where satellites used to blink. Dr. Lian Parker looked up from her console. Her voice was shaking. "Commander, we are losing every connection one by one. The silence is feeding on transmission. It is eating sound itself." Rayna ordered the power grid to disconnect, but it was useless. The virus was no longer in the system. It was everywhere. Mira Solis tried to use manual signals, but the machines ignored her commands as if someone else was typing faster than human speed. Eon Mercer lay on a medical bed, still unconscious. His body temperature dropped lower each hour. The alien blue light under his skin pulsed slowly like a heartbeat. Lian checked him again and said, "He is still alive, but his mind is somewhere else." Rayna replied, "Then we bring him back. We need answers before the world goes." Completely dark, Mira pointed at the radar. A strange pattern appeared on the screen, a map of the stars with black spots moving across it. They were not ships. They were areas where light had vanished, as if something invisible was swallowing it. Leon whispered, "The silence is spreading beyond our system. It is eating the stars themselves." Rayna took a deep breath and said, "Prepare." Project Rebirth. Everyone turned to her in shock. Leon said, "That project was banned. It could kill us." Rayna replied, "It is our only chance project. Rebirth was a forgotten plan, created years ago when scientists tried to connect human minds directly to the Galactic network using neural links. It was designed to rebuild lost communication using thought instead of machines. It was never completed because the first tests ended in madness. The team moved to the lower lab. A large circular chamber waited there filled with chairs and cables. Each chair had a helmet connected to glowing tubes. Mira checked the control board. Everything still works, but the energy source is unstable. Rayna said, "We only need it once. We connect to the network, find where the silence came from, and maybe learn how to stop it." Leon hesitated but finally nodded. They sat in the chairs, Rayna, Leon, and Mira. The helmets locked in place. Energy filled the chamber. The lights turned blue. Then everything went black. For a moment there was nothing. Then Rayna opened her eyes and found herself floating in a vast white space. Around her were endless strings of light connecting worlds and stars. She could see memories flashing through them, voices of countless beings, speaking languages she could not understand. Leon appeared beside her, shocked. "This is the network, the living memory of the galaxy." Rayna looked around. The lights were beautiful, but some of them were dark dead lines where the silence had already passed. She moved closer to one of them and saw visions of destroyed worlds, oceans, frozen cities turned to dust. The silence left nothing. Alive, only stillness. Suddenly a deep vibration filled the space. A shadow formed at the edge of the light. It was a shape without shape, moving like smoke but alive. A voice spoke from it, soft and endless. "You cannot stop what you created." Mira appeared. Next to them, shaking. "What is that?" Rayna replied. "The silence itself." The shadow moved closer. Changing size every second, faces of different creatures appeared inside it, crying, whispering, begging. Each face vanished as soon as it spoke. Rayna shouted, "Why are you doing this?" The voice answered, "I am not your enemy. I am your echo. You built me from your desire to connect. You made me when you could not stop talking. I am what remains when the noise ends." The lights around them flickered. The network began to break apart. Leon grabbed Rayna's arm. "Commander, we have to disconnect now." But Rayna looked deeper into the darkness and saw something bright far away, a single pulse of white light beating like a heart. She pointed, "Look there. That must be at the heart of Echo." Mira said, "If that is real, it could bring everything back. It could restart the galaxy." Rayna replied, "Then we find it, before the silence does." They tried to move toward the light, but the shadow blocked their way. It whispered, "I will wait in your silence, Commander, and when you fall quiet, I will feed again." The helmets opened. The team woke up, gasping for air. The lab was filled with smoke. Alarms screamed, but all other sounds were gone. The outside world was silent. No traffic, no communication, no music. Nothing but wind. Rayna pulled off her helmet, her face pale. She said, "I saw it, the heart of Echo." "It is real?" Leon asked. "Where is it?" Rayna replied, "Somewhere near the edge of the solar system, hidden in an old station from before. The first colonies. If we find it, maybe we can speak louder than the silence." Mira looked at the dark screens around them and whispered, "But what if it is already awake?" Rayna did not answer. She looked at Eon still lying on the bed. His eyes suddenly opened, glowing bright white. His voice came out deep and broken. "The stars have gone quiet, and now the universe is listening to you." "Commander," Everyone froze. The lights flickered one last time, and then everything went black. The earth had gone silent. No radio, no internet, no voice from the sky. The cities stood dark, as if the world had stopped breathing. The only light came from the stars, but even those were fading. One by one, inside the Sci-Fi Defenders base, Commander Rayna Cole and her team worked without rest. Every system was down. The network was gone. Yet one machine still glowed faintly. It was the neural link console from Project Rebirth. Dr. Leon Parker sat. Beside it, staring at the readings, she said, "The silence has reached every corner of the system. Mars, Luna. The colonies all gone. The last signal from Mars stopped an hour ago." Rayna did not speak. She looked at the holographic map above her head. Black wave was spreading across space, swallowing everything. Captain Aaron Blake entered the room with Mira Solis. They both looked exhausted. Aaron said, "We have no power left. The solar arrays are offline. Even emergency cells are dying." Mira added, "And the temperature outside is dropping fast. It is like the sun itself is losing strength." Rayna turned to Leon. "Tell me about the Heart of Echo." Leon took a deep breath and said, "It is a myth, a machine built during the first age of expansion. It was said to carry the voice of every species in the galaxy. The creators used it to speak across time, but it was hidden after the silence appeared. Some believed it was destroyed. Others believed it could rebuild what the silence takes," Rayna said. "Then, we find it. That is our mission now." Eon Mercer said it was the only hope. Eon was sitting nearby, weak and pale, his eyes still faintly glowing. He heard her words and said softly, "It is not a myth, Commander. I have seen it. It was the last weapon we built, the only one that could speak louder than the silence. But to use it, you need a key, the core from the alien probe. The same one that vanished." Mira looked confused. "The probe that melted into the floor." Eon nodded. "It did not melt. It escaped. It followed the call to the deepest place on Earth." Rayna asked, "Where is that?" Eon's voice trembled. "The Pacific Ocean. Under the old research facility known as Deep Point. It was built to study gravitational echoes, but it became the hiding place for things humanity was not ready to understand." The team prepared their ship, the Starhawk II, one of the few crafts still working. They loaded minimal supplies and launched into the night sky. The Earth looked darker than ever from above. Entire continents were without power. The oceans glowed faintly under strange lightning as they flew over the Pacific. The radar picked up a large energy field far below the surface. Rayna said, "That must be it. Deep Point." Mira adjusted the scanners, but the readings made no sense. It was like the ocean itself was vibrating. They descended through thick clouds. The sea below them was calm too. Calm. Then the water began to swirl. A massive whirlpool opened, revealing a hidden tunnel leading deep into the planetarium. Shouted engines at full power, "We are going in!" The ship dived through the spiral of water and entered a massive underwater chamber. Metallic towers rose from the depths, glowing with weak blue light. Old human structures mixed with alien design. Rayna said, "This is it. Deep Point." They landed on a platform surrounded by still water. The air was thick with pressure. The walls hummed softly with an unknown energy. At the center of the chamber floated the probe. It was alive again, glowing red and blue. Shifting between forms, Leanne whispered, "It is waiting for us." Rayna stepped forward slowly. The probe spoke in a voice both human and alien. "Commander Cole, you returned. The galaxy remembers its defenders." Rayna said, "We came for the core. We need it too. Find the Heart of Echo." The probe replied, "The core is not a tool. It is a seed. If you take it, you will awaken everything again." Mira asked, "Awaken what?" The probe's lights pulsed faster. "The memory of the universe. The echo and the silence. They are two sides of one creation. You cannot have one without the other. Rayna clenched her jaw. We have no choice. Humanity is dying. The probe's voice turned colder. Then you must pay the same price we did. Suddenly the ground shook. The walls cracked. Water burst through the ceiling. The silence had found them. It came as a black mist filling the chamber, turning metal into dust. Yon shouted. It followed the signal. We have to move now. Rayna grabbed the core as the probe exploded in light. The mist screamed, but had no face. It moved like smoke through the corridors, chasing them as they ran back to the ship. Aaron started the engines. The ship lifted off just as the ocean collapsed behind them. Huge waves rose into the sky. The Starhawk II shot upward, breaking through the surface. Water crashed down as they escaped into the storm. Inside the ship, Rayna held the glowing core in her hands. It pulsed like a heartbeat. The light reflected in her eyes. Lian checked the readings. This energy is alive, Commander. It is merging with our systems. Eon said, that is the heart's signal. It is calling us. We must follow it to the edge of the solar system. That is where the heart of Echo sleeps. Rayna looked out the window at the dark sky and whispered, then that is where we go. Humanity will not die in silence. Far behind them, the ocean began to glow with black light. The silence was spreading faster now. It had felt the movement of the core. It knew where they were going as the Starhawk II disappeared into space. The stars around them flickered weakly. For the first time in human history, the universe itself looked broken. The war between sound and silence had begun. The ship, Starhawk II, moved through the blackness of space, faster than light. Behind them, Earth was only a dim, blue shadow. The stars ahead were dying one by one. Commander Rayna Cole stood at the front window holding the glowing probe core. It pulsed like a living heart, lighting her face in the dark. Dr. Lian Parker watched the readings on her. Screen Commander, the core is leading us straight to the edge of the solar system. The energy trail ends near the remains of an old station. It might be the heart of Echo Eon. Mercer sat quietly, his face pale. His voice was weak but clear. That place was once the center of the human communication network. It was where the first galactic message was sent. The silence began there, and it must end there too as they approached the coordinates. A huge structure appeared floating among broken satellites and debris. The station looked half alive and half dead. Parts of it glowed while others were covered in darkness, like a wound in space. Mira Solis whispered, "It looks like a ghost." Rayna replied, "Then we wake the ghost." They docked carefully. The station was silent inside. Dust floated in the air like snow. The walls were covered with old screens showing dead data. Lian found a terminal still working. She touched it, and a voice spoke weakly. "Welcome to the Echo Core. The heart awaits the signal." Rayna looked around and said, "The message is real. It knows we are here." They followed the voice to a central chamber. The room was massive. A sphere of light floated in the center, surrounded by ancient machines. The light beat slowly like a pulse with every beat. The room vibrated gently. Yon said, "That is the heart of Echo, the only machine that can speak across galaxies." It was built to connect every mind, every world, every voice. But when the silence appeared, it tried to silence the heart. It failed only. Because the heart shut itself down, now it waits for a voice strong enough to restart it. Rayna stepped closer. The probe core in her hands began to glow brighter. Lian shouted, "The core is reacting. It wants to merge with the heart." Rayna hesitated for a moment, then placed the core inside the sphere of light. The heart absorbed it instantly. The room filled with energy, so bright they had to shield their eyes. The machines around them came alive. Lights flashed. Power surged through the entire station. Mira Said power is returning across the grid. We are generating a signal strong enough to reach the whole galaxy. But the silence was not gone yet. A dark wave appeared outside the window, moving like smoke between the stars. The silence had followed them. It covered the station, wrapping it in shadows. Every light began to fade. The voice of the heart spoke again, weak but calm. Humanity, your turn has come. Will you speak? Rayna looked at her team, her voice firm. We will speak louder than ever before. Connect. Me to the heart. Lian tried to protest. Commander, your brain cannot handle that much energy, Rayna said firmly. If no one speaks, then everything ends. Connect me now. They placed the neural link on her head. The wires glowed with golden light. The signal passed through her mind. She felt herself floating above the universe. The stars looked close enough to touch. Voices from thousands of dead civilizations echoed in her head, crying for help, begging for hope. She shouted into the void, "This is Commander. Rayna Cole of Earth, humanity has heard your call. We will not let the galaxy die. We will not be silent." The heart responded. Its light turned white, spreading through every machine in the station. The signal went out faster than light, moving across stars and worlds, reaching places where life once existed, reaching even the dead systems consumed by the silence. Eon's voice echoed beside her. We are broadcasting across all dimensions. Commander, the heart is awake again. Outside the window, the high dark wave began to twist as if in pain. The silence screamed without sound, trying to block the signal, but the heart kept growing brighter. The wave broke apart like smoke in the wind. Inside the station, Rayna felt her body burning from the energy, but she did not stop. The signal needed a human mind to complete it. She gave everything she had, her voice, her strength, her memories. She remembered Earth, the oceans, the faces of people she fought for, and she sent all of it into the signal. The light filled every corner of space. The silence tried to fight back, but for the first time it began to fade, turning from black to grey, and then to nothing. The stars started to shine again. The lost worlds flickered with life. Mira and Lian watched in tears as the readings showed power returning across the network. The galaxy was waking up again. Then the connection broke. The heart went quiet. The light slowly faded. Rayna fell to the floor, unconscious. Eon caught her before she hit the ground, his voice trembling. She did it. The broadcast reached everywhere. The silence is gone. Lian checked the monitors. The galaxy map glowed with new signals from millions of places. The heart had reconnected. The universe. Mira whispered softly, "Commander Rayna saved us." But as they looked out the window, something strange happened. A new light appeared beyond the stars, brighter than anything they had seen before. It pulsed once like an answer. Eon turned to them, his eyes wide. Something heard her. The screen in front of them flickered, showing unknown symbols, slowly forming into words written in the universal code. The words read, "We heard." You. The heart glowed one last time, as if smiling. Then it fell silent again, leaving the station floating quietly in the reborn light of the galaxy. Rayna's voice, weak but steady, broke the silence. Humanity spoke, and the galaxy listened. The silence after the broadcast was deep and endless. The heart of Echo stood still, floating inside the old station. Its white glow slowly faded into soft silver. The universe seemed frozen for a moment, as if the stars were holding their breath. Commander Rayna Cole opened her eyes. She was lying on the cold metal floor. Her head hurt, but she was alive. Around her, the others were waking too. Dr. Lian Parker checked the monitors. Mira Solis looked out the window. Captain Aaron Blake stood near the control panel, ready for any sign of danger. Rayna's voice was weak but steady. Did it work? Lian smiled for the first time in many days. Commander, look. The main screen showed the galaxy map. Every star that had been dark now glowed again. New signals were appearing. From systems thought lost, worlds that had been silent for centuries were awake. The broadcast had reached them all. Jon Mercer stepped forward slowly, his face pale but calm. He said, "She did it. Humanity spoke. The galaxy heard you." Outside the window, the stars began to shine brighter than before. Some moved in strange patterns, forming lines of light that stretched across space. It was as if the stars were speaking back. Mira whispered, "I can hear something." She turned on the audio link, and a soft sound filled the room. It was not a language, it was music, a harmony made of millions of voices blending together from different worlds. Lian said, "These are replies. They are sending energy back to the heart of Echo." The broadcast became a bridge. The galaxy is rebuilding itself through the signal. Rayna stood watching the light grow stronger. Every second the darkness pulled back more. Worlds came alive again. Ships appeared from hyperspace stations that had been dead for centuries, flickered with power. Humanity was no longer alone. Jon looked at the heart and said, "The silence is gone, but something new is rising." The heart is no longer just a machine. It is a living network connected to every world that answered. Suddenly, the station trembled. The heart pulsed again, brighter than before. A beam of light shot out through the ceiling into the stars. Outside, a massive shape appeared, not of metal or shadow, but of pure light. It moved slowly through space, like a giant being made of energy. Thousands of smaller lights followed it, spreading across the galaxy. Rayna asked, "What is that?" Lian answered, "I think it is life reborn from the signal. The dead civilizations, the lost minds. They have become energy beings guided by the heart mirrors." Eyes filled with tears. "The galaxy is alive again, Commander. You saved them." Rayna shook her head quietly. "No, not me. Humanity saved them. We answered the call when no one else did." Jon looked at her and smiled. "In my time, humanity had fallen. But now, see a different ending? You changed the future, Commander. You gave it hope." The heart spoke again. Its voice was calm and filled the whole room. "Humanity has given its voice to the stars. The echo will never fade." Rayna turned to her team. She said, "Then, our duty is not over. We must protect this connection, keep it pure, keep it alive. The galaxy trusts us now." They began working together, repairing systems, stabilizing the station. The heart continued to pulse, gently sending waves of energy through space. Outside, the stars glowed like living eyes watching over them. As they worked, a new transmission appeared on the main screen. It came from deep space far beyond the known galaxy. The signal was soft but clear. A voice said, "We heard you, and we are coming." Everyone stopped for a moment. The room filled with silence again. Lian asked, "Who is that?" Rayna looked at the screen. The message repeated again, "We heard you, and we are coming." Jon smiled faintly. "Maybe the galaxy is not as empty as we thought. Maybe the ones who built the first network are still out there." Rayna looked out the window. The stars shimmered like silver rain across the Black Sea. She felt no fear, only peace. Mira said, "Commander, what will we do when they arrive?" Rayna smiled slightly. "We will welcome them, and if darkness ever comes again, we will answer once more. Humanity will not be silent." The camera would have pulled back, showing the entire station surrounded by thousands of shining lights, the heart of Echo at its center glowing, brighter than ever, the galaxy pulsing with new life. The narration would whisper, "The galaxy begged and humanity heard. Together they rebuilt the voice of the universe, a voice that will never fade again." As the scene widened, the stars formed a pattern that looked almost like words made of light across the sky. The message spread through space in every direction, the same message that started it all. "We heard you, The screen faded to black, and the sound of the heart of Echo echoed softly one last. Time beating like the pulse of life itself, humanity had become the guardian of the new universe. The silence was gone, but the echo would live forever.